going on, vinyl community? Welcome to another video with the Record Spinner. In today's video, I'm going to be doing a vinyl haul showcasing all of the records that I acquired within the month of February this year in 2020. This month proved to be a rather interesting month for vinyl finds. Got some new releases, some rather valuable pressings, as well as my first ever Analogue Productions pressing. Which album is it? Be sure to stay tuned in this video to find out. So, without further ado, sit back, relax, and enjoy the latest finds. Alright, so we are going to kick this haul off on a rather unexpected note because I did not see myself picking up this release until literally yesterday when I placed the order on it, and I just received it a day later today. So recently, I have been listening to a lot of Deep Purple lately, and I was kind of looking around to see what are some of the notable live vinyl releases that are out of this particular band that kind of stray outside of the usual, you know, made in Japan, made in Europe, last concert in Japan, some of those classic live albums, just to kind of see what else lies beyond. And this particular one I would see pop up quite frequently. However, when I saw it yesterday, there was one copy left. It's a 2 LP set, and it's $13. So that is automatically justifiable value, and I figured it was worth pulling the trigger. I am talking about this album here. This is called the Now What live tapes. This is a live album that was recorded during the Now What touring cycle back in 2013. This was recorded at a couple of gigs in Europe. And it's a rather interesting set list because, of course, we get the classics such as Strange Kind of Woman, Black Knight, Smoke on the Water, but we also get some interesting other tracks. Could you call them deep cuts? I'm not quite sure. If anything, it's more appealing for the diehard fans, such as Hard Loving Man and No One Came. And then we also have some newer stuff off of the Now What album, which came out around the time, such as Vincent Price. And really nice artwork. The sleeve itself comes in like a nice sort of cardboard matte kind of sleeve, which is nice. Here's the track list. And then we open it up, and we have a live shot before the curtain drops as the show starts. And we have a picture of the band. And then we also have printed inner sleeves. Here we have Steve Morse and Roger Glover. And then on this side we have Ian Gillan. And there's also some liner notes written by the man himself. And the records come pressed on very nice 180-gram vinyl. Very nice custom Paisley-esque center labels. Very, very nice. And I'll show you guys the other inner sleeve. According to the hype sticker that was featured on the shrink wrap, this is claimed to be 100% live, no overdubs or anything, which is nice to kind of acknowledge that because, let's face it, a lot of well-presented live albums do often get tinkered with, so it's cool that they kept it completely natural. There's Don Airey and Ian Pace, and here's some live shots of the band and some credits. Center labels there. Very nice. And yeah, I figured just for the price alone, this was definitely worth investigating. Really excited to give this album a spin, and it's a great, interesting addition to my Deep Purple live collection, the Now What live tapes. Alright, so here is a record that I picked up with my Discover cashback bonus points, and this was priced at around $13, which is a really not bad price. I think I ended up paying like $5 out of pocket, which is really not a big deal. And I've encountered this record a couple times since it's been out. I was aware when it first came out back in 2017. I think I may have listened to a single or two when it first came out, but I never really went as far as to purchase the album for myself and listen to it. And about a couple years back, Sam and I, my girlfriend, we went to a Tunes record store, and they had a clearance vinyl sale. And I remember this album was in one of the bins, and when I saw it, I was like, oh, that's on Jack White's label. But even at that point, didn't think to pick it up. And I think recently, with myself getting the Third Man Records single release compilations that have come out within the vault, I'm just pretty much absorbing anything and everything that's on the Third Man label, and this artist has been extremely prolific recently. She actually just released her second album a couple months back, and I need to track down the Rainbow Splatter variant. But until then, best place to start is with the full-length debut, and that is Miss Lilly Mae, and this album is called Forever and Then Some. Now, Lilly Mae has got a lot of groundwork done within the confinements of Third Man Records. She has performed as a session player on many singles on the label. She played with Jack White on his first two albums, Blunderbuss and Lazaretto. She's featured prominently on Lazaretto. She does a lot of fiddle work, sang a lot of backing vocals, even sang lead on the chorus of one of the songs, and she also toured with Jack as part of his touring band. And she figured she'd have a crack at the spotlight by doing her full-length debut back in 2017, kind of in the country bluegrass kind of vein, which is a genre that I don't really go too often, but I will say I've kind of been growing to appreciate more just country in general. So kind of been enriching my country vinyl collection with artists like Lilly Mae, Margo Price, you know, ones that are on the Third Man label, and it's thanks to them that I've kind of grown to start to really dig the genre. And the sleeve itself comes in a very nice kind of tip-on style jacket, nice soft touch cover. It feels really, really nice. Nice gatefold sleeve right here. Looks absolutely gorgeous. And what's really nice is that it comes with a nice colored booklet with photos and artwork, liner notes and lyrics that you can easily flip through as you listen to the album, which is really cool. And then I'll show you guys the record itself, which comes in a printed black inner sleeve here. And I'll show you guys the vinyl itself. Pressed on standard weight vinyl with nice custom labels, which is really cool. And even though I said it's in like the country bluegrass kind of vein, I think Third Man did a great job in kind of describing it on the hype sticker to kind of give fans an inclination of what to expect out of this. And it says, for fans of Stevie Nicks and Tammy Wynette. So kind of gives you an idea on what this album is like. And I am most certainly excited to be giving this album a spin and checking out more of her works. Lilly Mae, Forever and Then Some. Alright, so here is a brand new release which just came out today, Friday, February 7th. I ordered this off of bullmoose.com about a week ago, and I think it's awesome that they were able to ship it out promptly to have it delivered on the release date. And I am talking about Green Day's newest album, Father of All, or in its fullest terms, Father of All Mother Truckers. You pretty much know the word that I'm referencing. I really like Green Day. I have a big soft spot for them. I was really into them in like middle school. I saw them live back in 2010, and that was probably one of the longest shows I ever saw. It was just one song after the other after the other. It was an awesome show. And the early stuff I absolutely adore. Kerplunk, Dookie, Insomniac, all that stuff. Some of the recent stuff has kind of been hit or miss, and that's because they simply like to kind of tinker with their sound a little bit, which I think is cool for them to do, having been in the business for 30 years at this point. Has it been that long? Holy crap. I was really pleased with their last album, 2016's Revolution Radio, and before that there was the trio of albums, Uno, Dos, and Tre, which I've heard the singles, but I never really checked out the albums. It's just a lot to take in. I'll approach it at some point. And with this one, Billy Joe Armstrong kind of describes it as just a fun rock and roll album. And it's definitely a change in their sound upon the title track that was released as a single, which is called Father of All. It is a definite change of pace for these guys, but I'm really going to keep an open mind when I listen to this. And from what I read, this album clocks in at like 26 minutes, which is really, really short, but it'll just be a brief listening, I suppose. Comes with an insert that has a picture of the band on this side, and the lyrics on this side. Now, I initially had this pre-ordered on Amazon, but when I found out about this particular variant and that it was obtainable through online purchases, I immediately canceled my Amazon order, went on to Bull Moose, and got this variant. And that is the Indie Record Store exclusive, which comes pressed on neon pink vinyl, because all the standard stuff comes pressed on standard black. So I wanted to go ahead and get this one. Pretty much cost the exact same as the black version. I just figured I'd get the more collectible variant. This was pressed over at Jeezy Vinyl and mastered by Chris Bellman. So I'm sure it's going to be sounding very, very nice. Chris Bellman does a fantastic mastering job. And yeah, like I said, definitely gonna keep an open mind when it comes to this album, and quite excited to be giving this album a spin. Green Day's Father of All. All right, so from this point forward, things are going to be looking much, much better in video quality, and that's just simply because I traded in my trusty iPhone 7 for the new luxurious iPhone 11, so things are going to be looking much, much better in terms of video quality on this vinyl haul, as well as for the channel in general. And with this next vinyl find, we're going to be taking a trip back to Record Store Day 2013. With this particular Doors release. This is called Curated for Record Store Day, and this is a compilation that was compiled by various indie record store owners, and it's not so much a traditional compilation in terms of a greatest hits or a best of. This includes a lot of different interesting versions of classic Doors tracks. The way it's set up, on side A we have some mono mixes, and then on side B we have stereo mixes of various studio and live material. And what's interesting about this release is that on the back, where the track list is, you'll see that it says JD's set list. And of course, JD stands for John Densmore. He hand wrote the track list. And there's also another variant of this compilation that came out, which had, of course, RK's set list, and that of course stands for Robbie Krieger. So there's the two variants where they wrote out the set lists, and of course this release is limited right here, as you see, and I have copy number 3102 out of 7500, which is quite cool. Nice die cut design here where it says RSD for Record Store Day, and as you see, we extract the record just like this. Comes in a nice rice paper sleeve, rather nice touch. And it comes pressed on nice heavyweight vinyl. I believe this was pressed at Quality Record Pressings, and this was mastered by Doug Sachs, so I'm sure it's going to sound absolutely wonderful. Nice butterfly Electra labels there. And to just kind of break down the track list of this collection, which I have to say is really, really nice. It doesn't give all the hits, but it really brings together some of the Doors' finest moments. So we have Break On Through to the Other Side, Soul Kitchen, Moonlight Drive, and When the Music's Over on the mono side. Those are all the studio versions from the first two albums. And then on side B, which is the stereo side, we have Love Street from the Waiting for the Sun album, Unknown Soldier from the Live at the Hollywood Bowl live album, Roadhouse Blues from the Felt Forum in New York, the first show, and then we have 521 from the second show that they did in Boston back in 1970. So it's a really interesting collection of various stereo and mono mixes and live cuts. And it definitely makes for an interesting addition in terms of Doors compilations for my Doors vinyl collection. The Doors Curated for Record Store Day. All right, now here is an amazing Amazon find that I got as part of their 3-for-2 sale. They've been holding these sales on and off for the past couple months, where basically they include a bunch of items in this sale, and if you get 3 items, the cheapest one is free, which is a really good deal. I've done this sale before with vinyl, but this time around, I decided to not go too crazy with it, simply because I wanted to be smart financially, but at the same time, my best friend's birthday is around the corner, and I got his gifts from this sale, and I figured I'd treat myself to a record just because, and let's just say I got extremely lucky, and this is an absolutely fantastic find, and also a bit of a steal, I guess you could say. You'll see why. This is Cosmo's Factory, Creedence Clearwater Revival. Absolutely fantastic album. You have Traveling Band, Looking Out My Back Door, Run Through the Jungle, Up Around the Bend, Who'll Stop the Rain, I Heard It Through the Grapevine. Just an absolutely flawless album from Creedence. Comes in a paper sleeve, but comes on that nice blue Fantasy label. And I took a look in the dead wax, and I noticed something interesting. I noticed APP and KPG/SH at ATM. This right here is an Analogue Productions pressing, mastered by Kevin Gray and Steve Hoffman at Acoustic Mastering. And I did a little bit of research on this and came to find out that this pressing actually first came out in 2002, became out of print, hard to come by, and quite valuable. They repressed it in 2014 on 200-gram vinyl, and then they did this pressing, which is kind of like on standard 140-gram vinyl, using the same metal parts as the 200-gram Analogue Productions pressing, which is, they're all identical between the 2002 and the 2014. This was $17, and for a highly regarded audiophile pressing, that is a steal, and also kind of a shocker, considering that I talk about Analogue Productions often on this channel. I don't have any Analogue Productions pressings, so this is indeed a first. And I have heard many pressings that were done by Kevin Gray and Steve Hoffman, and I've been very pleased with those. And I am quite certain that this is going to be an absolutely fantastic pressing, and for sure a grail in terms of the audiophile pressings in my vinyl collection. Cosmos Factory, Creedence Clearwater Revival. All right, so here is a great record that is on colored wax, and it's also bound to sound absolutely spectacular. So the girlfriend and I, we went out for a little late Valentine's Day celebration. We got to avoid all the crowds on the day of Valentine's Day, and also with work schedules and whatnot, it just kind of made sense to do it on a different day, but it was still a fantastic day all around. We went to Build-A-Bear, we did miniature golf, virtual reality, a laser maze. We went to Barnes & Noble, had ramen for the first time for myself for dinner, and it was absolutely fantastic. And once we kind of winded down after all the stuff that we had planned, we kind of had some time to kill since the night was young, and we decided to go to one of the nearby malls. And at this particular mall was an FYE location, and I remember that I had worked there in the past for a couple days whenever they needed someone from a different store to come in and transfer while they were catching up on projects, things of that sort. And one of the things that I love about visiting other FYE locations is that I get to see what stuff they sell that my store doesn't necessarily sell, in terms of like certain products, CDs, vinyl, whatever. And of course I made a beeline for their vinyl section, combed through it, and I kind of saw roughly some of the same stuff that was over at my store. A couple of different things here and there, but nothing really of interest for me. But I came across this particular record, and I remember it was there the last time that I was there, which was like about a year and a half ago. And I didn't pick it up because I think I picked up another record that was there, or something along those lines. And I've been wanting to check this album out. And when I saw it there today, I was like, you know what, I might as well. And of course I got my discount on it, and I essentially paid roughly, I want to say a quarter, 1/5 of kind of what it goes for. This is, I would say, definitely highly sought after, and I can understand why, because it was done with so much care and attention to detail, and it's just a great quality pressing overall. And that is Tres Hombres by ZZ Top. This is the band's third album from 1973. Of course, we have L.A. Grange, Waiting for the Bus, Beer Drinkers and Hellraisers, all kinds of good stuff from the great trio from Texas. This comes in a very nice tip-on style gatefold jacket, nice heavy-duty cardstock with a very appetizing gatefold sleeve. And inside here, we also have a insert with some artwork. And then we have the vinyl itself, which comes pressed on green vinyl. Rhino had put this out in early 2018 for their Start Your Ear Off Right campaign that they do at the beginning of every year. This is one of the releases they did. This is pressed at RTI and in the dead wax. It is KG and SH at ATM. That's right, just like the Creedence record that you just saw before. Kevin Gray and Steve Hoffman. Boy, oh boy, this is going to sound absolutely wonderful. Any release that has those two names, or just one of their names alone, is going to be an absolutely stellar product. And actually, this is a repressing of a version that the Rhino did back in 2006. They just kind of did it on standard black vinyl, and then I believe it went out of print. And since they still have the lacquers and the metal parts to press up, more copies, they just went ahead and did a colored variant for the Start Your Ear Off Right campaign for 2018. And I am very excited to play this album. The only, I think I have only one other ZZ Top album. I think it's the Fandango album. And this is definitely another one that I've been wanting to track down. And who knows, perhaps I'll be growing my ZZ Top collection even further. ZZ Top, Tres Hombres. All right, so here is a notable new release that a lot of people have been anticipating, and I am perhaps one of many people that got their hands on a copy within the vinyl community, and that is the newest album from the Prince of Darkness himself, Ozzy Osbourne's Ordinary Man. It has been a full decade since we last saw an album from Ozzy, the last one being 2010 Scream, and 10 years later, he has delivered the goods with this album, and I have not listened to it yet, but I have enjoyed what I've heard in terms of the singles that have come out, such as Straight to Hell, Under the Graveyard, and the title track, which is an amazing duet with Elton John. And interestingly enough, we have a special guest spot on the closing track, It's a Raid, by rapper/pop artist Post Malone. Ozzy had actually done a special guest spot on one of his tracks on his latest album. So Post Malone's kind of doing Ozzy a favor in return. And I'm going to go on record saying that I'm kind of getting David Bowie Black Star vibes from this album, because it has been a rather unfortunate, eventful time for Ozzy recently with his various health setbacks, his recent Parkinson's diagnosis, the cancellation of his No More Tours 2 tour, just a whole lot of stuff going on in Ozzy's life. But despite all those unfortunate circumstances, he pulled through and put this album out. So I applaud him on that, and I am absolutely excited to give this album a listen. I absolutely love the back cover photo. I think it's absolutely hilarious. Ozzy just kind of taking a leak right in the bushes there. Absolutely funny. We have a printed inner sleeve here, which has some artwork, lyrics, and credits. And the record itself comes pressed on kind of like standard weight 140 gram vinyl with custom center labels, which is really cool. I should mention that there is a limited variant available on his website, which comes in a gatefold sleeve, and it's on colored vinyl. And I came very, very close to getting that copy, but the shipping costs were just absolutely astronomical. So I kind of settled on the standard black version. But nonetheless, absolutely excited to give this album a listen. Ozzy Osbourne's Ordinary Man. And next up is an album that actually just got reissued fairly recently at the same time as the Ozzy album came out. This is one I've been wanting to get my hands on for a very long time. And everywhere I looked, I could just never track down a copy of this album. And it wasn't until now that that happened. And that album is Thin Lizzy's Jailbreak, the breakout album of sorts for these guys. Back in 1976, you get two classic Thin Lizzy tracks on here, that being the title track, Jailbreak, and The Boys Are Back in Town. Everyone knows that song. And then, of course, we have some other amazing tunes on here, like Cowboy Song, Emerald, Warriors, Angel from the Coast. Just absolutely amazing stuff from these Irish rockers. This is one of several reissues that have come out of several Thin Lizzy albums. They reissued this album, Nightlife, Fighting, Johnny the Fox, and Bad Reputation. And essentially what Mercury Records have done is that they took the reissues that came out around 2014, 2015 that were primarily available overseas in like Europe and England, and just gave them a proper American release, which I think is nice. That way you don't have to pay crazy import prices, which is awesome. This comes in a nice die-cut sleeve here, as you can see, which has some very nice sci-fi inspired artwork there. And the record came in this printed inner sleeve, but since I played it, I already stored it in an anti-static one. Comes pressed on heavyweight vinyl with the cosmic looking Vertigo label there, which is awesome. And this pressing sounds absolutely fantastic, especially the lead guitar work. It is just screeching on this pressing. It is amazing and just completely in your face and direct. So I definitely do recommend checking out this reissue, and as well as the other Thin Lizzy reissues that have come out. They sound fantastic, and I definitely need to track down a couple more albums of theirs, and then my my classic era Thin Lizzy stuff will be complete. I still have to check out the early Decca stuff and what came in the early 80s. But nonetheless, amazing, amazing stuff. Thin Lizzy's Jailbreak. All right, so here's a little mini vinyl haul, which came from Amoeba Records from San Francisco. You guys all know and love Amoeba Records. They are perhaps the most notable indie record retailer based on the West Coast in California. And I was mainly out to get one particular record that they had available on their Discogs page. But after looking at what else they had available, I managed to snag some other titles for very good prices. And let's just say, at the time when I made this purchase, this was just coming off of a rather crazy, eventful 50-hour work week with only having one day off. So let's just say I felt a bit entitled to spend some money and treat myself to some vinyl, also considering that the paycheck was rather sweet. So the main record that I was out to get was this one here. This is Third Man Records, single release is 2011. As you guys all know, I have been hunting down these compilations which came out through Third Man's Vault subscription service. And it's honestly thanks to these compilations that I've been subjected to a lot of other artists and bands that I never really would have checked out for myself on my own. So getting these compilations and listening to them are absolute great fun because they're so eclectic with so many different artists and bands. And this one in particular has the First Aid Kit, 5-6-7-8, Pokey LaFarge, Karen Elson, C6 Steve, Stephen Colbert, the Black Bells, amongst others. And this is a monumental 3 LP set, and this was the last singles compilation that the label did for the Vault. Comes with a double gatefold sleeve, which has all of the various single covers and back covers with liner notes briefly talking about each single. And of course, we have the obligatory poster, which has all of the single covers on it. And the first record comes pressed on black vinyl. And the second LP comes pressed on white vinyl. And if you know Third Man's color scheme, you can pretty much guess exactly what comes next. The third LP comes pressed on yellow vinyl. So with all that said, 3 LPs, colored vinyl, only available through the Vault, $21. Absolute bang for the buck, and you absolutely cannot beat it. And I am very excited to be giving this compilation a spin and seeing perhaps what other artists and bands I'm going to be digging deeper into after I listen to it. And now we get to the other stuff that I picked up. And the next record I'm going to show you guys is Waxahatchee's Cerulean Salt. This was her second album, which came out back in 2013. And this was the only Waxahatchee album that I didn't have in my collection, so it's now thanks to having this album now that my Waxahatchee collection is now complete. Comes with a really cool insert. There's Katie Crutchfield on this side, otherwise known as Waxahatchee. All the lyrics and credits here. And then here's the record itself on black vinyl with very nice custom labels. And I'm definitely excited to be giving this album a spin. And the last record I'm going to show you is one that I got still sealed for $13. And granted, I've never listened to this album before in its entirety. I know a lot of the songs, and I figured for that price it was absolutely worth investigating. Paul McCartney, Tug of War, all kinds of notable tracks on here, such as the title track, Take It Away, Here Today, and Ebony and Ivory. Definitely kind of warming up a bit more to the 80s Paul stuff. Like, there's still a lot of parts of his solo career that I'm still approaching and still working my way towards. So I figured getting this album would be a nice logical step. Comes with the download card inside, And we have a printed inner sleeve here with lyrics and credits, and a really cool picture of Paul there. Comes pressed on heavyweight black vinyl with very nice kind of color-themed center labels. Just like that. Really, really sharp, and cannot wait to play this one as well and dig deeper into Paul McCartney's solo works, Paul McCartney's Tug of War. All right, so we are going to wrap this haul up with a rather nice 50th anniversary release of the King Crimson single, Cat Food Backed with Groon. Cat Food was a single that the band released back in 1970. It appeared on the band's second album, In the Wake of Poseidon, and it's with this single coming out back then that the band actually landed a spot on the show Top of the Pops over in England, which was their sole British TV appearance until 1981 when the band got back together. And DGM decided to pull all the stops and give us this nice 10-inch release for its 50th anniversary, which I kind of predicted because I thought about it, with this single turning 50 years old this year, they could do like a reproduction of the original 7-inch single for like Record Store Day, but it's nice that they kept the widespread public in mind for this release. And what exactly do we get here? We have 3 different versions of the song Cat Food, along with its B-side Groon. We have the original single version. We have a 2019 live version from Toronto. We also have a 2019 alternate mix, which first came out as part of the King Crimson 50th anniversary download series from last year. And then we have its B-side Groon, which is a non-album track. It was only available on this single, as well as various King Crimson compilations. Replicates the artwork of the single perfectly. We have the lyrics on the backside here, which is cool. The record itself comes in a printed black inner sleeve. And the A-side label has a sort of pink Island Records-esque label to it, which is really cool, with the DGM knot on the bottom. And then on the B-side, we have a rather nice picture label here, which has the lineup of the band that played on Top of the Pops. So seated on the bottom is Robert Fripp, and then you have bassist Peter Giles, pianist Keith Tippett, Greg Lake, who played acoustic guitar and sang, and then drummer Michael Giles. So this is a really, really cool release and a really neat way to capitalize on the single's 50th anniversary. We'll see if maybe we'll get more of these kind of releases. It's really cool that Crimson is churning out all this great product, and I definitely cannot wait to give it a spin, and definitely a cool way to wrap this haul off. King Crimson, Cat Food Backed with Groon, 50th anniversary. So there you guys go. That is my vinyl haul of all the records that I acquired within the month of February this year in 2020. If you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and give it a like and subscribe to the channel. See you guys in the next video, and most importantly, keep the records spinning.